Hey guys, welcome to Blogger United. Welcome to another video, and today it is time to talk about Barcelona's midfield, the overbooking in central midfield that we have currently, and how to solve it, or how I think that it's the best way to solve our dilemma on who should stay for our midfield for the 2019-2020 season. So let's go with it. We have to start by naming all the first team players that we have right now in the midfield that are considered as midfielders, and how should we go about judging them, or who should stay and who should leave. Let's start with the names. We have Sergio Busquets, we have Ivan Rakitic, we have Frenkie de Jong, Artur Melo, Arturo Vidal, Felipe Coutinho, Sergi Roberto, Carles Salenya, and Rafinha Alcantara. Now, as they are the first team players, let's go over them. I'm gonna go with each one of them, and I'm gonna say if they should stay, if they should go, and what they could add to the team, or what kind of player they are, if we need them or if we don't need them. Let's start with Sergio Busquets. Sergio Busquets adds defensive reading of the play. He is the best defensive midfielder that I've seen in my entire life. I think that his defensive reading is second to none. He basically is as good as reading the play as if he was watching it from the TV, which is impressive. Like, he's able to read danger before it even is generated. When he's physically and mentally just superb, he is the best center defensive midfielder in the world. Like, if Messi is the best ever attacker in history, then Busquets is probably, as a defensive midfielder, the best ever that there has been. There's no one that can compare to him. Now, this past year he had a struggling season, I think, all because he was kind of slow mentally. He wasn't as focused as he should have been, but also because the team as a collective didn't work so well. And when the collective fails to work, then individual mistakes happen to show themselves, and that's what I think happened to Sergio Busquets last season. I think that he can, with more rest and less games under him, he can give us more of a great performances and give us more of those amazing performances that we've seen from him in previous seasons. Now let's go for Ivan Rakitic. Ivan Rakitic, I think that he is a different player than we're used to. He's a more, box to box midfielder with more defensive solidity. He started as a number 10 in his first days at Sevilla and Schalke. He is a really good center midfielder. I don't want this to become attack constantly. Go ahead and attack Rakitic. No, it's not about that. He's still a great center midfielder. He would add a lot to our midfield if he was to stay. But I think that because of the names that we have, because of his profile of the player that he is, I think that we have other tools that can do the same job for him, and that we can liberate that wage that we're paying him, and also we can receive a couple millions to recover and pay for other transfers that we have made this season for the likes of De Jong and Antoine Griezmann. So I think that even Rakitic, he has a great shot, a great pass in him. He's good defensively, or at least the best Rakitic we've seen, has all those things. But I think that we can survive without it, and we need to move on from Ivan Rakitic. I think that Frenkie de Jong, the new signing, the new starlet from the Netherlands that has joined Barcelona, he joins a list of very successful players that have joined from Ajax, and like previously Johan Cruyff, Patrick Kluivert, and such others like that. He can become one of the best center midfielders in the world and in history. He has to start for us. Like, there's no such thing as Valverde's words saying he's a plan for the future. Well, he is, but he's also a plan for now. He needs to start for us right now, and he needs to be a player that gives us a lot of performances in the coming seasons. He needs to be very important for us, and I have a lot of trust in Frenkie de Jong, seeing as he is probably one of the best organizational midfielders in the world that can just have the ball, move it forward, move it back, just transitioning between plays. It's absolutely superb to watch Frenkie de Jong play, and I think is really important to give him continuity, give him minutes so he can adapt and finally establish himself as one of the best midfielders in the world. I think the same thing goes with Arthur Melo. The Brazilian has endured a very high downs and ups last season. It was complicated for Arthur last season. He was being used as a player that started for 60 minutes and then got substituted for Arturo Vidal. That's pretty much what we saw. We saw for the majority of the season Artur Melo, Ivan Rakitic and Sergio Busquets in the midfield, and then in about the 60th minute go ahead and substitute Arthur for Arturo Vidal in situations where he was being the best player in the pitch. I think that, we saw it at Copa America. There's nothing wrong with him. Like, it's not that he gets tired at the 60th minute and he cannot go on. We perfectly saw that he's capable of playing 90-minute games perfectly fine. It's just that, when you have even Rakitic and Ernesto Valverde put together, then it becomes very complicated. So, again, same as De Jong, he has fantastic way of organizing the play for us. He will make sure that he will protect the ball with his body as much as possible. He will not lose balls at all, and it is actually fantastic. I think that Arthur, the more continuity that he's given, the more confident that he feels, he will start making those through balls and forward passes that we all want from him. And I think that Arthur Melo and Frankie de Jong need to be our two center midfielders, at least the interior center midfielders for us in the near future. Going on with Arturo Vidal, he is a different profile for midfielders that we have currently. He suits more the profile of Yaya Touré, Seydou Keita, Edgar Davids, Philippe Cocu, Luis Enrique, players like that give all the intensity in the world in the midfield. Like, when they play, all the players around them also want to run more, also are more intense, and they can cover for multiple positions because of how much energy they give off. And I think that Arturo Vidal, even though for his age, with the injury concern that he had previously, he showed that he's still a really high level, and as long as he wants to keep this high level, he should stay at Barcelona. But there is a verdict that I have to say later in the video, and Arturo Vidal is one of the candidates that could leave Barcelona because there's good offers for him. But again, if it was up to me, he would stay and he would have an integral part in the team, playing as a backup forward, like, the 12-13 man to play in the midfield, coming on for Frankie de Jong, Artur and Busquets some of the time, and giving you that plus and intensity that you need in some games where it's very tough and we're going for hard challenges and we need someone to add intensity to our game. That is Arturo Vidal for us. Then we have Felipe Coutinho, who he was classed as a forward last season, playing that left wing. He was being played, I think he played like less than 250 minutes in midfield last season. After that game that he had against Leganés, who it was horrendous, but before then he was doing perfectly fine, and he was, trying to adapt to that spot. But then Ernesto Valverde decided to not play him there anymore. We never saw Coutinho again in the midfield, and he's playing now as a forward. But that's not what we signed him for. That he's playing as a forward doesn't mean he's a forward. He's still a midfielder. If you start playing Marc-Andre ter Stegen as a right winger, that doesn't mean that he's a right winger. He's still a goalkeeper. It's you that you're using him in the wrong position. Felipe Coutinho, it's a midfielder. It's a player that I was very enthusiastic. I was very happy when we signed him. Had a lot of high hopes for him. I think that he could really be the new Iniesta, and I still believe in him. I still believe that Coutinho could give us something different, that if he was to adapt to that position, it would be different to anything that we have right now. But with that said, you don't have the time for that, and the thing is that we have better players than him that are also younger than him, and they can give us much more than him right now and for the future. So for that reason, I think that with the value that he has currently in the market, we should be able to get money out of him and be able to transition into a new era. And I'm so fortunate that he wasn't able to succeed at Barcelona. Then we have Sergio Roberto, a player that came from La Masia. He's one of my favorite players actually in the Barcelona team. I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of people are saying that we should transfer him out, that they don't like him as a right back, that he was a converted right back, that he's not a right back, that as a midfielder he's not that great. And to be honest, as a right back, I think that he's perfectly fine. I think that he was able to perform at a really high level at right back, and I think in midfield he's played some minutes where he's been a good player in the midfield for us. Again, he wasn't very good against Chelsea when we played, but again, much of the team wasn't. Like Ousmane Dembele and other players weren't that great in the Chelsea game. But I think that Sergio Roberto should add that even Rakitic, what even Rakitic was able to add to us. And I believe that between him and Arturo Vidal, we have all the muscle that we need and all that high intensity that we need in midfield. And I think that he could contribute an important part of the squad. It's whether he's gonna be happy with the minutes that he's given, which by the look of things, it's not that gonna be that many. So maybe transfer could be in the cards for him. Then we have Carles Aleñá, the newly promoted player from La Masia last season. We promoted him from Barça B. He played a couple of minutes last season. He was fairly effective in some of the games, and then in some other games he kind of disappeared and didn't add what we needed at the time. I think that Carles Aleñá, I have plenty of trust in him, honestly. I think that he's a player that should be giving us a lot of intensity. He should be giving us a lot of transitional. Like, he's a number 10 by trade, but he's been able to play in an interior role, and defensively he can get better, but he's at a level where he's good enough. I think that to being given a few minutes and try to progress as a player, he should be able to give us what we need in the midfield for the coming years. I think that his age, he's very committed for the cause, and I believe that he should be able to, give that hope to the other La Masia players that if he can make it, some others also can make it. So I really have high hopes in Aleñá, and I hope that he can succeed at Barcelona coming next season. Then we have Rafinha Alcántara, and this is complicated for me because I think that Rafinha, talent-wise, is probably as talented as his brother, to be honest, as Thiago. I think that last season I was really hopeful that he was going to be able to finally get fit and be able to play a really good season, but between the inconsistencies from Ernesto Valverde and he getting that injury that lasted pretty much for a big part of the season, he wasn't able to feature and he wasn't able to be the best version that he could be. And it is unfortunate because I have really high hopes in Rafinha. I think that Rafinha, if he could get fit and play a lot of minutes at a team that plays to his needs, which is have the ball, give him the ball a lot, he could definitely be one of the most important players in the world. Again, like, this is the same case with Denis Suarez, with Andre Gomez. I think that their players, where in the right conditions, can be some of the best players in the world. It's just that either their attitude is not the right one, or the conditions that they've been given is just not being the right ones for them at the moment. Then you have Riqui Puig, and this is a player that is not promoted to the first team. We are done with the 9 players that have been in the first team right now, and I think that Riqui Puig is a player that needs to be promoted. I think that Riqui Puig is the best talent that we've seen at La Masia for a while. Like I've said this multiple times, he is a generational talent, just like Frenkie de Jong, like Matthijs de Ligt, like Kylian Mbappé. I believe a lot in Riqui Puig, and I believe that he needs to give us more. He needs to be the best version of himself, and to be the best version of himself, he needs to get minutes. He needs to get 10 to 15 minutes of season. Someone was asking me in the comment section. I believe it was Spencer FCV that asked me, what do you think about Riqui Puig when he's gonna be able to play 10 to 15 minutes in a season? And I answered him that I couldn't see him with this current Barcelona team and midfield. I couldn't see him coming to a team at least into 2 years. And that's the case. Like, he should have been the first team already last season, and it's very sad, but it is true. If we keep all these players, we not only have too many as it is, but we stop a player like Riqui Puig from coming into a team and giving us something that he should be able to give us, which is the performance from one of the best midfielders in world football. And I think that he suits everything that we have. The same as the young Arthur, he has a good touch with the ball, he has an amazing personality, he doesn't hide. I think that's something that differentiates him from Aleñá. Not only that I think he's better technically and tactically, but also that he has more of a personality. He won't hide from the ball, he always wants the ball, he always wants to do something with it. And I think that's really important for us going forward. So the players that I would cut from the first team, and that I would sell would be Ivan Rakitic. There's rumors from Inter Milan, Manchester United. I hope that Manchester United are able to save Paul Pogba. There's rumors of Milinkovic-Savic joining Manchester United, but I hope that if they can take maybe Rakitic in the deal for 50-60 million, that would be great. I think that they would add a lot to the Red Devils midfield, but I believe that that money would help us to pay for other deals that we've had done this season. I also think that Philippe Coutinho and Rafinha need to leave. Philippe Coutinho, I don't know if he's going to be including the Neymar deal or not. Just PSG could take Coutinho as an overall player, or maybe Liverpool. The club has said that there's no chance of signing Coutinho, but I believe that between 100 millions, we paid like 135 million for the player so far. I would take 100 million right now for Philippe Coutinho, because not only we're getting money for him and we're stopping to devaluate him to the point where he's going to cost less every season, but also we're going to generate space for other midfielders going forward. Rafinha, the same thing, just cannot trust in his knees right now, and just cannot trust that he will stay fit the whole season. I believe a move to Betis or a move to Valencia would suit him for the near future. Then we have the likes of Riqui Puig. He gets promoted to the first team, and with this currently we have 7 midfielders. We have Busquets, De Jong, Arturo Vidal, Sergio Roberto, Carles Aleñá, and Riqui Puig. Now, with 7 midfielders, how would this work for me? In my opinion, you would have Busquets, Frenkie de Jong, and Arturo in midfield. They will start for you pretty much every game. Then you have Arturo Vidal to rotate with them, and Sergio Roberto more the same. And then in the minutes, you can still give 10 to 15, 20, maybe 20 games of a season to both Aleñá and Riqui Puig, and they can play a lot of minutes. Counting that Busquets and the likes of Arturo Vidal, our players are over 30, meaning that they need rotation. They're going to be players that are not going to be able to play. They shouldn't be able to play that many games of the season. No, I don't want to see them play 4,000 or 3,000 minutes of a season anymore. They should be around the 2,500 mark, and then Arturo and Frenkie de Jong, they should be playing those 3,500 to 4,000 minutes of the season. Between Sergio Roberto, Aleñá, and Riqui Puig, they can all play over 1,500 to 2,000 minutes, and I hope they're happy with it. And if Sergio Roberto's not happy with it, then he needs to go, because Arturo Vidal is really important for us right now and for our success. This is how I think that we can solve our Barcelona midfield. Now, with all said and done, leave me a comment in the comment section below. What do you think of who should stay, who should go, and would you promote Riqui Puig to the first team? Leave me your opinions in the comment section below. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one, Blaugranas.